Anthony Kearns, how are you and where are you?
I'm well, Michael Landra, and I'm in Ireland, in Dublin at the minute.
All right, you're in Dublin. Now, so when you spend time in Ireland, is Dublin your usual spot?
Dublin's my nest, and then I from there I pop down to Wexford to see the mother and sisters. All the family are living in Wexford, bar one who's living in Waterford. But I've always lived in Dublin when I'm in Ireland.
All right. It's funny because it's Dublin's the one place I'm a total foreigner there. I really don't know it
Yeah.
very well. So I guess you live a kind of a two country life. Am I right? You spent half of your life in Ireland and half in America. Is that right?
Well, here's the deal. Under the visa that I have, I'm resident in Florida, the United States, and I can come to Ireland for, I think it's 130 days or whatever the allowance is, but I have to watch that day count. You have to submit your day count and all that. So I'm resident in Florida, then I come home at Christmas and couple of weeks during the year, I make trips home.
So, Florida. Why Florida? How come you picked Florida?
I don't know. It just happened that a bunch of Irish lads were looking at properties in Florida, and I happened to be in the States with the Irish tenors, and I popped down to meet a friend of mine who was looking at property, and I saw these lovely homes just outside Orlando. Were rather inexpensive at the time, and the exchange rate was like $1.50 or euro 50 to the dollar. So
Perfect.
it was ideal, and I thought they have an international airport. The weather is glorious. They have all the pluses, So I said I need a base to set up somewhere because I was tired of sitting in, and no offense to Fitzpatrick's or any other hotel which you've looked at for 3 years. Sitting in a hotel bedroom after you had gone down for your meal, you went up and you sat up on the bed and you were looking at the TV, and I thought, you can't live like this. If you had 3 or 4 days together, you need to go somewhere. So with that, I can hop on a flight anywhere in the States. Well, certainly from the East Coast, within 2.5 hours, 2.25, you're in Orlando.
And I love Orlando. It's a great spot. And as well as that, you've access to so many things from it's right there in the middle of the state. You've got the coast is an hour away.
Absolutely.
And everything that you want is in town.
Correct. It's less expensive than other cities like New York and that. You have access to 7 states by car.
Wow.
In fact, you could, Michael, if business was good enough, you could technically tour Florida and never leave it and make a damn good living because everyone visits it.
You're tripping over theatres down there, aren't you? Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. Huge amount, yeah. And it's great to get a couple of dates in Florida. The tenants used to love that. We used to start our Christmas tour in November after Thanksgiving in Florida, and you do 7 or 8 dates and you're in the lovely sunshine. It was fabulous.
Lovely.
Or you went up to Buffalo or somewhere, you got the fright of your life.
Oh God, yeah.
Weather,
winter, man.
Yeah.
So I know where you're from, and obviously we have that connection. Could you tell everybody exactly where you're from?
Well, I'm at the foothills of Mount Leinster in the village of Kilteely, which is the highest village in Wexford. It's the last post before you head into Carlow from the county Wexford. So Kilteely is the village, North Wexford. Yeah.
I have great memories of Kilteely because we would drive. So my father's from Loughlin Bridge, and my father, we'd hop into the car, into the Volkswagen, and we drive up that old road through Kilteely to get into Bagnallstown and
you're crossing the mountain. Yeah, you're literally crossing the mountain, and 3 miles outside of Kilteely, you're in the Carlow. You're into Carlow. As the friends of mine, Neville's, lived up there. The house, they used to sleep in Carlow and ate their breakfast in Wexford because the house was on the line.
Very good, very good. I remember my father used to scare the life out of us because he'd tell us that a giant slept under Mount Leinster.
That's interesting. I've heard that story too. There's a few stories that there was some guy used to come down and rob the village years and years ago. There was this story, and the guy used to put the horseshoes on backwards on the horse, so they didn't know whether he was coming up or going. So when he was coming down, the horseshoes were the other way.
Fantastic.
Great stories.
He put the fear of God in us anyway every time we got up near ye. And so you were raised in Kilteely then.
Yeah.
And once you started, at that point, were you singing all through your childhood?
All through my childhood, I was singing. My family background, they're all into the music. We all kind of picked up an instrument and self-taught ourselves. And then we went for lessons and that. But I mean, I played the button accordion. That's what I started out with. Wow. And I used to sing the Sean Notes. And we entered every competition, going on the road, Kyolan, Gearig, the Fla Kyols, all the different scoring the Nogs. Everyone went through it. That was our thing. So we never played as a family group, but individually we all did our own thing.
And did you realize like what kind of voice was growing there as a youngster?
Well, funnily enough, I remember watching, I'm trying to think of the show now. Oh, Oliver, and hearing that song. Well, I could do that in my sleep, and I could sing it probably the octave higher. And my voice was so high. If truth be told, if somebody had discovered me then, they probably would have heard a boy soprano, but it hadn't been discovered. I really didn't find my footing. I was singing the Shannon songs, that was grand. But really, till I went to the FCJ Convent in Bunclody, and I met up with Gerard Grant, and I started to do music of a different kind, playing in the school orchestra, playing trombone, getting involved in the school musicals. That introduced me to music that I could get my teeth into and sing proper, South Pacific, Fiddler on the Roof, that kind of stuff, Oklahoma.
Right. And so, I mean, I remember the time that you kind of burst out onto the stage, per se, because it was a very kind of well-known story in Ireland that probably a lot of Americans wouldn't know. If you wanted to, tell us how that all happened.
Well, you mean me getting my first start in singing?
Yeah.
Well, a competition was on the radio show, the famous Gay Byrne radio show in Ireland, and I was working in an office in Dunleary at the time in sales and marketing, and I heard this radio show in the background. I had the radio on the background. I was doing cold calls and looking up things. And I said, I heard this competition, and I just decided to lift the phone. Just lifted the phone, dialed in. Would you believe it? I got through. So they said, hold the line, and I went live to air, and I sang. And I got through the first round of a competition. That was grand. I hung up the phone. They called me back to come into the studio for the next round, which I got through. And eventually there was a final on North Herald Street in Dublin. This is October of 1993. And I'm living in Arklow, and I hitched up from Arklow to Dublin at 9 o'clock in the morning, where I see 7 proper tenors. Ireland Search for the Tenor was the competition, and they were all doing their scales. And I was smoking a cigarette watching. Amazing. Oh, maybe I should take up the smoking again, I don't know. But anyway, I had no worries, no concern, didn't care about top notes or nothing. I come up and I did what I did naturally. And on the panel of adjudicators was Veronica Dunn, the singing teacher,
wow,
and Frank Dunn from Bank of Ireland. It was in conjunction with the launch of the £10 note in Ireland, so that was where they got the Ireland Search for a Tenor. I won the competition, and that's the rest, as I say, is history. I was introduced to a singing teacher, and that's where it all began.
And is there a couple of years then, because it all gets a bit vague for me back in the 90s, was there a couple of years then before the Irish Tenors happened?
The Irish Tenors got together in 1998. So in the interim, I was studying with Veronica Dunn, and I was vastly learning operatic roles and music that I'd never encountered before. And not only that, I went from learning music by ear to following the dots on the page. And I remember having the experience of a lifetime in the concert hall singing the Messiah, doing the tenor part. SATB, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, lined up with the chorus, Conchista Dinner, whoever conducting. And I'm lost. I know where I am. I know where my part is. I can tell you the 4-bar intro before it, but I'm lost in the score. I couldn't. It was like hieroglyphics on the page. And I look over to the guy beside me, and I'm about 40 pages behind him. So I subtly turn about 40 pages and get up to speed. But from that day on, I said, this is never going to happen to me again. I'm never going to be put in this position where I don't know where I am. I was lost. So I moved to Wales to study, and I worked with a teacher over there. But the best thing that came out of Wales for me was I sat down and I studied the grades of music. I did up to 7. I said, I have enough now. It was grade 7. I could read it, I could follow it, and follow conductor. That combined with a good ear has helped me to do what I need to do. And I've learned, 14 or 15 operatic roles, and it's not too bad.
Man, that's an incredible journey to be able to go from that to most people study their whole life to study those roles and to but always natural ability will overcome that kind of reliance.
I had good help as well in a good friend and accompanist, Patrick Healy, who's played for me for over 20 something years.
Oh yeah,
Paddy as I call him. He's from Dublin originally, but he's living in the UK. But I met him in the Leinster School of Music where Veronica Dunn was teaching. He came in and he was working with some singers. and we got on great. And he took me to the UK and was performing for Richard Baker and Stephanie Williams on the classical cruises, and it was just fantastic. And performing opera concerts around the country in the UK. So that was great foundation too. You know?
Yeah. So you were one of the few kind of Irish artists who got to be part of what was at the time the zeitgeist in America, in that the Irish tenors became something that was so huge. I remember I was living, I don't know what I wasn't living in America at that point. I was. And like, you were on every channel that I ever switched on, like no matter where I was. Yeah. Every single person that I would come across knew who the Irish tenors were. And that happens to very few artists from Ireland. I think there's a tendency to think, oh, you have an Irish show, it's going to be great, they'll all love it. Not the case.
No, it's not the case. And I'll tell you what, we came on the crest of a wave. You had Riverdance prior to us. That set the ball rolling. So you had the dancing element, then you had the vocal element. We came along, and it was also at the time of the three tenors. So PBS's biggest hits at the time were the three tenors, Andrea Bocelli, and the Irish tenors. Then Andre Rieu came along. So we were in the right mix at the right time, and it was massive. People have no idea. We went out on tours playing stadia, like we were playing Madison Square Gardens, we're playing all the big venues, sporting arenas. Like 30. But very exciting, juggernauts and tour buses and all that. We were like rock stars.
I know. I mean, you didn't think you were rock stars at the time, but when you look back at it,
it was massive, but it was great. But it was great time. And I was a young fella. I was 27, 28, like turning 28. So
you were only a chap, sure.
Rock and roll, baby.
Yeah. And it was rock and roll. It was the rock and roll life. There's something about getting that success early in life. You don't probably appreciate it at the time, but for the rest of your career, it educates you and it gives you a basis to move forward. I think I learned the same from Riverdance on Broadway, in that you have the best of everything. Like just everything is thrown at you, and when you start going out on your own and you find yourself in a hall in the middle of South Dakota,
Muleshoe, Texas, or somewhere.
Yeah, and you're staying in the best hotel in town, and then you go, this is real life. I will say, I think that there's something a lot more gratifying to being on tour.
I agree with you. And I've always loved that. And people say, well, which venue you like? I said, I love it. I said, if there's 50 people in front of me, I love it. If there's 100 people. That's the one thing I've enjoyed in America, traveling with my accompanist to places that people will never visit. And it's just fabulous. That I love it so much. That's what the best part of it is.
It's that exchange, like it's driving through Wyoming, and I have my band, and I've had the same band for a long time, and you just develop a way of existing in that tour bus, and you develop your own sense of humor, and you learn about every place you go. You learn something new.
Yeah, but you become so used to it, then that's why we miss it right now. I'm dying to get out again. I just miss those. I look back on those great days, traveling all over the West Coast, the East Coast, up to Seattle, Port Washington, Port Angeles, and up into Victoria, Canada, and traveling all over. It's just gorgeous, lovely theatres up and down the country. And that's the one thing they have in America. Every venue is top class, and they have wonderful pianos. So all I needed to show up was with myself and my accompanist. We'd arrive on stage, Steinways rolled, and I'm going, God, I'd love to have this back in Ireland. I'd love to have this everywhere we went.
I know, you're tripping over Steinways.
Unbelievable, yeah.
What is it? So for you, is it recording or is it live music that presses your buttons?
Live music. I hate the recording side of things. It depresses me. I hate listening back to them. I hate the process. It's so false. No, we'll take that note again. I said, but it's out of context. I hit a top note, and I don't want to record a note and go, I won't do that. I'll sing everything. I'm known that anyone that knows me, particularly in the Irish tenors, there's no stop button on me. I have to sing everything. It drives me wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong and they're right. I don't know, but I can't.
No, I don't think there's a wrong or right. You just pick whatever works for you. You know.
Yeah. You have people saying, "Don't worry about that. I can bring this up and I can tweet that and I said, no, get another take. I'll do this. Let me sing the whole phrase. Let me get it." I hate the recording thing anyway. Never liked it. You're in a booth and you've cans or headphones and you're one ear in, one ear out, and you're trying to get everything, get the feel of everything. It's not natural. It's unnatural. The only way.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, the only way a recording would work naturally for me if I was in a nice acoustic small theatre and there's an audience out there that are muted behind the screen. They can see me, then I can get some reaction to them. Then you capture me.
Yeah, it's funny because I enjoy performing, but I've always preferred that behind the scenes stuff. I like to produce stuff and everything. So I love being in a studio. Like it's like I get excited and giddy. And it's not that I don't enjoy performing. I love it. But it doesn't give me the buzz that is you different. It's funny. It's different with
horses for course. Yeah, I just love the live stuff. I get a great.
Yeah. I do love what I really love is meeting the audience afterwards, and because we as Irish people, we're not very good at realizing the effect that our singing has on people, or our music has on people. And I always downplayed it for a long time. But it's only in the past, I guess, few years that at this old age that I'm kind of realizing why we're able to lift people up and give them a little bit of light in their lives, you know, particularly these days.
Yeah, we're very fortunate, really. I have to pinch myself time to time, you know. We're very fortunate the way our lives have gone, because I'm sure you did too. I started out in the real world working. I worked in the hotel industry. I worked in bars. I did all that hotel management. I worked in sales and marketing. I tell you, I wouldn't want to go back to any of it. You know, the singing has been great. I've enjoyed it. It's been good to me. So I never lose sight of that.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, having that previous job also gives you a bit of perspective. We're certainly very lucky people.
Yeah. But I think we're grounded. We don't go on like carry on like pop stars or divas. We don't mind doing a bit of work. The satisfaction in putting in the work, doing the rehearsals, doing a good job. That's when you get the satisfaction, when you see the reaction of people. And
because we have to, Anthony. We have to. If we don't go out there and work, what are we going? They're not going to come to our living rooms to hear us. You know.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they might have to though come to our living rooms to hear us now.
We were talking earlier. Your fans will want to hear you, so maybe you'll consider doing an online Christmas show or something for people.
I think I'll do something. Yeah, I can't just see this next 3 or 4 months of doing nothing. You know.
Yeah.
I'm going to look into it. I did a bit of research and have a lot more to do, but I think it could be put together quite nicely, something tasteful, and maybe with the Irish tenors. I don't know. Maybe maybe I'll be selfish. But I thought about getting the 3 guys around the piano. Maybe get a violinist in and a cellist, and just make a nice little.
Nice, and that would be fairly easy to get you all together, right?
Yeah.
If people want to learn more about you or hear your singing, where should they go?
Well, I was going to send them to my website, but everything's fairly dormant at the minute. AnthonyKearnsTenor.com. Look me up on Facebook, Anthony Kearns Tenor.
Very good.
Things are quiet at the moment, so until the earth starts revolving again. But if I do anything with this platform online thing, concert, it'll be on my website, Anthony Kearns.
Your links will be right down here underneath this video on my site.
Perfect.
Anthony, you're a legend. Before we go, I just want to tell you, I love my singing, right? And I know I've traveled to about 60 countries and heard singers around the world. Your voice is the most pure, crystalline, gorgeous live sound. The last time I heard you, I remember exactly where I was. I was in the auditorium in Chicago, and I lived right across the road. It was the most easy, most beautiful night that I've had. I walked across the street, and it was a very proud day that I heard a Wexford man sing like he did there on the world stage. I'm a massive fan, and long may that voice sail on.
Please God.
I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate it. Good to catch you.
Thanks.
Man, thank you.